Hello and welcome for our Read, Listen, Watch, part of Roofers Coffee Shop ongoing program of really offering some excellent information in multiple ways. So when we're done with this, you're going to be able to watch it as a video, you're going to be able to listen to it as a podcast, and you'll be able to read about it all throughout our Roofers Coffee Shop. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and I am a partner with Roofers Coffee Shop. I am very, very thrilled today to welcome Zach Stopyro and AC Gallion, both of Davinci Roofscapes. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Hi, Heidi.
Hey there, thanks for having us.
You know, this show today that we have, this RLW, is near and dear to my heart. I live in the mountains of Oregon, and we deal with wildfires every summer. And so really understanding how to design a roof so that it really meets the safety criteria of living in the middle of a forest. There's a lot of people dealing with that right now, and really understanding that fire testing. So I really appreciate both of you so much for taking time out of your day to share your knowledge and your wisdom with our listeners out there about this important issue.
No problem at all. Thanks for giving us a chance.
We love having you. And that was perfect, Zach. So I would like to introduce Zach Stopyro. He is actually the National Senior Technical Services Manager of Davinci Roofscapes. He is a traveling man. He is all over North America, and he is really doing huge things to help educate contractors, educate the industry, and really talk about what's happening with the polymer products that Davinci has brought to market in such a fabulous way. So Zach is going to be helping us really looking at the technical side of things today. So Zach, again, one more time, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great. And we also have AC Gallion here today. He is the Southern California Territory Manager. AC not only lives in the middle of wildfires, Santa Ana winds, and much more, but he also really works at up and down the West Coast. He has been in the Pacific Northwest. He has sold these products. He really understands them and is going to bring great regional knowledge to this webinar today. AC, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Looking forward to everything we're about to talk about.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff to talk about. I tell you what, so let's get started. We've got some good questions here, some good topics, and I really want to start out with, let's kind of talk about wildfires. This has been a couple of really bad seasons, and AC, like I said, you've been in the middle of it. Can you kind of give us an overall, what is the state of wildfires on the West Coast?
Well, specifically in California, just in 2000 and 2017, some of our top 2 or 5 largest wildfires burned in 1960, and then 2018, since the 1960. 2018, more than 58,000 wildfires occurred, 8.8 million acres burned, and we lost over 18,000 structures. And then fast forward to 2020, just right before I moved to Southern California, I witnessed a ton of different wildfires and was actually moved 20 minutes north of one of the biggest wildfires down here. And in that wildfire, we actually had more than 483 current fires that are active and controlled and out. But there was more than 25,000 wildfires in the United States.
That it is really something that I know we all know it's been forever that we've had these wildfires, but you lived up in the Pacific Northwest for quite a while too, and it is really amazing just how fast we had a huge wildfire in the gorge outside between Oregon and Washington. I think it was 2 summers ago now, and it's just they're getting closer and closer to urban areas. You're seeing that up and down throughout California too, right?
Oh yeah, I mean there was some huge fires that were in Malibu and also in the Calabasas area that were very, very close. I mean, I live about an hour east, a little bit over an hour east of Malibu, and I could smell the smoke in the air. I can see the haze in the air, and it's scary. It's pretty scary to see all that.
It really is. And, just to set the stage too, this is not just a West Coast phenomenon. I mean, obviously we saw what happened in Australia last year. We've seen the fires go through Texas, to go through the South. So this is really something that as an industry, we need to be providing the protection and the testing to prove the protection of our roofing systems. And so I really was hoping, what I'd really like to see too is, Zach, let's start talking a little bit about testing, because I think there's people out there who will hold up a tile or a shingle or whatever it may be and say, this is Class A. It may not be, but the system might. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the difference between product testing and system testing. And Zach, we were having some internet problems earlier, so I just want to make sure you're still there.
Sorry, there we go.
There you are. Good, yay.
There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks, Heidi. So when you do product testing or system testing, a lot of people will get that confused. And with product testing, you're of course looking to just test around one part of a system, whether that be an underlayment or in roofing tiles or shingles or sealants, just various parts of a system. Usually that testing is to see how that specific product may perform on its own and how it also may handle weather or temperatures, climates, things like that, for example. When you get into system testing, then you're of course testing everything. You're testing the tile or the shingle, the item that the homeowner or the consumer is going to see, but you're also testing all those individual parts that are underneath. So you're testing the underlayments, you're testing flashings, you're testing all those different parts and pieces. And in a lot of cases, or in most cases, it's also testing how those things are installed. So how many fasteners are used, how adhesives are used, all those types of things. When you're talking about fire ratings, they're talking about performance as related to a system, not a specific product. So a lot of times people will install products, or installers will install products missing one link or one part of a system. And what most homeowners don't understand is that without that one piece, that entire system or that roof no longer has the proper classification.
Yeah, and really being able to sit down and either obviously in today's world virtually or at the home, explaining that to the homeowner and really showing them this full system, because I think a lot of time not everyone does that. And so then the homeowners think they have a fire rated product, but they don't, because the right system wasn't put on the roof.
That's 100% correct. And they usually, at least in this day and age, homeowners will go online and of course have a lot of ways to research products and research different things. So I think now more than ever, homeowners or consumers in general are more prepared, and they have more of an availability or ability to research things and actually know what's being put on the roof. But it is very important to choose the right installer when doing this so that you can trust the person is doing the job that they're selling.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really important. And I've had some experience of that myself in my career, and I'm really glad. I mean, I think if there's anything a contractor wants to put out, they're going to want to do that. So let's go into the fire testing, and let's look at this. And maybe, Zach, you can kind of go through what are the different categories and how does that all work?
Sure. So you have three different categories, Class A, Class B, and Class C. You can have an unrated or unclassified system as well, just meaning that that specific system has not been tested. The Class A is, of course, your highest, meaning that it gives you the most resistance to fire. Kind of a broad overview of it is they're the least flammable roofing materials. They're designed to prevent a flame from spreading more than 6 feet. that can take between 2 to 4 hours to get ignited or stay combustible. They can withstand a brand weighing 2,000 grams in what we call the burning brand test, where you place a brand on top of a fire assembly. Class B, they can handle moderate fires. They will allow a flame to spread no more than 8 feet. They can withstand a brand weighing 500 grams. And in the test, it's actually 2 of those instead of just the one large 2,000 gram brand. And they will not ignite, or they'll last at least an hour before igniting. Class C is the least fire resistance. It can prevent a flame from spreading no more than 13 feet. It offers a resistance for only 20 minutes before igniting. And the brands, there's multiple brands, but they only weigh 1/4 gram. So the Class C, the difference between Class C and Class A is vast. And I always tell consumers to go online, search some of these tests and see these online. I know on our website we have some of these in pictures and things where people can go on. And if you see the difference between a Class C system or the fire test for a Class C system as compared to a Class A, it is as far as the difference goes.
It really does make a huge difference. It is amazing. And these categories are essential in also understanding regulations and rules of the wildland-urban interface, WUI. And AC, you have been very active with WUI throughout your territories. Can you share a little bit of how this all correlates?
Yeah, so many WUI certified products are going to have a Class A fire rating. But the main difference of kind of the definition of having a Class A or WUI is that WUI is not only just a product specific, but it's system specific. And it's also two-pronged, where it comes by providing a defensible space. So it also coincides with the environment of where the building, the structure is built. So it not only has to deal with the product itself or the system or the structure itself, but how many feet of different types of forest land or trees or shrubs or anything like that. That all goes into planning into how these products are WUI certified.
Perfect. And we're going to talk some more about, we're going to continue bringing that up just as we go through this, because that is really important that there's, again, it's more than just one piece, one product, one system. It's like this whole big picture of creating a safe zone for your home. And I do want to, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this at the beginning, but I want to thank the folks who have already started asking questions in the question box. Please, if you have questions, ask the questions and we will answer all of those at the end of the show. We already have a couple in here that are great questions. So I just want you to know we will get back to those. Please, everybody else, feel free to go to your control panel and type in your questions. And so as we move forward, Zach, before we and I'm really kind of excited for you to go through each of the tests, which I know sounds very nerdy, but I have been in these tests and I've watched them before. And so I just find them so interesting. But I think first, let's talk a little bit about fireproof ratings and how materials are categorized. Kind of set the stage for us a little bit.
Okay. So the term fireproof or fire resistant is used to describe how easily a material burns. Roofing materials, they're categorized into groups depending on that fire resistance. To get their roofing materials rated, manufacturers, we have to submit them for testing. And the experts performing these tests have to consider 3 things. So that the actual tests that we're going to use, and they're the same for all roofing materials, you get into the way a flame penetrates through the exterior of the roof material and into an attic, which is called a burning brand test. The amount of embers formed and how they flow, or if they'll travel when wind is produced, which is called the intermittent flame test. And then how the flames will spread over the surface. So when flame is placed onto the surface or the roofing platform, how far it will travel. Will it basically combust and start to burn, and how far will it burn depending on the pitch of the roof?
Perfect. And so those are really, so let's go into each one of those tests, because I think there's a lot to each one of them. So one of the first tests we wanted to talk about was the intermittent flame. How does that work?
Sorry, lost you there for 1 second. So intermittent flame. So with the intermittent flame, the assembly of tiles is actually subjected to an intense flame. It has a very strong air current for 2 minutes, and then it's turned off for 2 minutes. The procedure is repeated 15 times, and after the final flame, the cycle of air is turned off. Or the air is kept on, sorry, the flame is turned off, and we observe the deck for at least an hour to see basically if that flame, if the deck itself or the assembly will stay lit and if it'll burn through to the underside of the deck.
Perfect. And you know what, just a little bit, Zach, just to kind of give a little bit of a flavor to the audience out there, because I know you've probably, how many intermittent flame tests have you watched in your career? A lot?
Yeah, I would say we've probably done, even with Davinci, we do them every so often, but over the years, probably 50 to 100.
Yeah, and how realistic, as you're watching this test, this intermittent flame, and how realistic do you see it? In comparison to what what we've all kind of watched on TV or even seen in person in the field?
It's very, in order to really get a feel for it from a contractor's end, it's great to see it in person. Just because I don't think when you feel the wind in this test specifically, the wind that's blowing on this or a machine, you're usually in a big testing facility. And the way they set this all up is just tremendous. And it's completely different from watching it on TV. It helps to see that or on a computer or, on a small screen, but to see it live is just so much bigger and is really in your face, if you will. As far as compared to the real thing, it's a much smaller atmosphere. So of course in the real thing, and I've seen roofs on fire and properties on fire, and it's a little bit different in that regard, but it still gives you a sense for the type of product that you would want on your home if you see it in person. When you see a real house fire or something along those lines, and then you see a test where something so, large and high intensity, if you will, as far as the flame, it's just really big at what you would want on your home.
Yeah, I've seen those too, and it really makes you think. Really makes you think. And of course, as we're talking about this, these are the systems that are being tested. So just so everybody, I know we kind of talked about that earlier, but that's really important too, to understand that it's every part of the system. And that kind of leads us to that spread of flame. Tell us a little bit about this.
Sure. So the flame and air current are applied for 10 consecutive minutes and then observed until the flame on the deck recedes. Once the flame deck recedes, the assembly is checked for maximum spread of flame. Basically, the different classes tell you how far that flame can move. So like for Class C, the lowest grade, it's 13 feet. Once they turn that off, they want to see if that flame will travel up the deck 13 feet. For B, it is, I believe it's 8 feet. So you have, a much lower risk there. And then for Class A, it's no more than 6 feet. And that's pretty, when you think about your home, and it's done at a different pitch, but when you think about your home, you would want that roof, of course, Class A, where that fire, if it's high intense flame, it's hitting your roof, it's only going to move a couple feet. Where C, if you really see these in these testing facilities, it's moving so fast, and you can actually picture your roof with that flame traveling that fast. It really makes you consider, again, what you'd want to put on your house. We talk about these things, but it's just amazing.
It is. I've seen those spread of flames, and I have been terrified at how fast it has gone up when it is not a fire rated product. And so it can go so fast. It's amazing. So I think go ahead.
I was going to say, and that's, when you think about a Class A is 4 feet or no more than 4 feet, and a Class C is 13 feet. So over 3 times the length between the upper end of a rated product to the lower end. That's astronomical. Again, when you really think about those distances and how fast you travel and the average size of a home, and it's 3 times longer for that lower rated product.
Yeah. And I think that's really, these are important things. I mean, you don't want to live by scare tactics, but you want to live by really good, strong information. And this is something that homeowners, like you said, even if they can't see it in person, there's a lot of videos. We're going to get to that. I shouldn't get ahead of myself, but it is really good for them to see just how that works. And especially our next one, the burning brand, because we know a big problem we have is when flying embers.
Correct. And the burning brand test, I think, is the one that most people will see, even if, like you said, if you see videos and things, that's the one that a lot of people will see over the other two. One, because the test is easier to show a lot of times. There's not as much moving parts with the wind and things in some of the other tests. But the burning brand, if you can see, I just talked about how the difference between a Class C and Class A is 3 times. Well, in the burning brand test, a Class A being a 2,000 gram brand, a Class B being 2 500 gram brands, and the Class C is quarter gram brands. I believe it's been a while since I've seen it, but I believe it's 10 or more brands that they put on there, but still they're a quarter gram. So it's just little embers, basically, little debris, leaves, things like that would be caught on fire and very quickly extinguish or self-extinguish once they hit the roof. Where a 2,000 gram brand on a Class A, that's a very large piece of wood or a very large piece of material that's now falling on your roof, and it's going to stay lit for a good period of time at a high heat.
Yeah, and I've even seen those sometimes they've left them and they've gone all the way through the deck, which is scary too.
No
So,
question. And when you're watching it and you see that happen, and you actually see when they do the test, you're watching both the top and the underside of the assembly, if you will. So you'll start seeing smoke, of course, come from underneath the deck, and you start getting a little concerned. And then next thing you know, the wood, the plywood decking that they're using, catches on fire. And it's interesting to watch, but at the same time, it's a little bit scary if you think about what you have up on your roof.
right, and what you're protecting underneath the roof, right?
Exactly.
That's the scariest part. Well, and I know, as understanding all these tests, and really, to me, it is a form of safety knowing that products have to be tested this way. So AC, maybe you can talk just a little bit, because we're in that generational shift between older products that maybe are grandfathered in, that don't have the fire ratings, and the newer products that have the same look but also provide the performance. Can you kind of share what you're seeing in your territories and up and down the West Coast with some of the old versus new?
Yeah. Based off just in the age of technology, so many of our composite products are looking very, very similar, if not the same, very close to actual wood shake, right? So, I mean, that they're engineered to look that way, to have that realistic look. And then when you put it on a roof, you can't tell the difference at all. And so, and then when it comes to performance, most composite shake products will outperform any natural wood shake, especially when it comes to varying UV exposures and temperature differences. Composite products are engineered and tested to withstand the worst of conditions. Just like Davinci products, it's at the top of the list when it comes to wind, fire, and resisting things like moisture-related issues and expansion and contraction. When we talk about fire, much of California, you're not even allowed to install a new roof with wood shake. That's why there's been a lot of traction with not just Davinci, but a lot of different products that are man-made or composite that are replacing, natural wood shakes. And then, most of the customers or most of the homeowners that are spending this type of money to have a product installed on their roof, this is the information age, and they know what's going on. They know the products that are being installed. They study the estimates, the quotes, and they look at reviews. They know who's good and who's not. So it's very important to know that you know, certain things are WUI certified and certain things are A class or B class or C class, because it can be a selling point for the contractor and for us as a manufacturer. And then when it comes to, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, installation, you know, wood shake can split if nailed too close to the edge. And at times, I mean, you don't even have to pre-drill most composite products. Davinci, you don't have to.
Well, and even with the installation, and like you said, AC, with a wood shake for a Class A specifically, you actually are installing a Class B treated shake over basically a second roof. You have to put an asphalt cap sheet down underneath those systems with wood shake, which is very, very difficult, especially if you're getting up to higher pitches, steeper pitches, things like that. So, you know, then with our product, the only underlayment that you need in those types of installations is a very lightweight, easy to install EcoChief Solar Hide product. So it's a much easier install. And like you said, you're not having tile split. You also have a much lower waste percentage for the installers when they're out there installing our stuff, especially our multi-width product over standard wood shakes.
Right.
Well, and I know, I mean, last year we did this RLW with Davinci. We did it on hail, and I know hail, you know, across the country is like fire, a little bit different, but it's still ruining some roofs. And when you really are looking at the polymer shake tiles, it kind of covers it across the board. It covers it with the fire ratings, with the ease of installation, the long-term performance, and also maintenance of how long it will last and still look good without all the I mean, I'm from Oregon, right? So moss, all of those kind of things that grow on more organic roofing systems.
Sure. So you don't have enough. I mean, Davinci is a non-porous product, so you don't have any of those issues like you would with a wood, especially down the road. As the wood softens or starts to decay, you're gonna see more of that discoloration, and that's one of the things when you talk about the look of a product with synthetics or polymer type products. You pick the color you want for the life of your roof. So you don't have to worry about if you start with a tan or a gold new shake roof when you're buying wood shakes, and 10 years down the road it being gray or green or whatever color it may change to. With Davinci, the color you pick in the beginning is what you end up with for the life of the roof.
Yeah, so there are a lot, I mean, there are just using technology and new roofing products and really, you know, incorporating the testing to make sure you have the highest performance is making such a difference for homeowners. And I think for contractors too, you know, what contractors are able to really sit down and talk to homeowners about that safety, performance, design, the look they want. So, Zach, talk to me just a little bit about, you know, I know you're training contractors all over the country. What do you help them? How do you help them really communicate this to homeowners?
Well, the biggest thing you can do as a contractor is one, show them that you know what it takes to get the proper system ratings. Make sure that you can show what the system that you're selling or trying to install, what it takes for that product to get a Class A system, and then show that you have, you know, knowledge of those systems or those we were talking about initially, you know, each piece of the puzzle, if you will, knowing, hey, these are the products we use, this is how we put them together, and in that way, you'll get that Class A system. You can also show, you were talking about videos and things like that, but different videos, different links to different websites like our website and things that go through exactly what we say through testing with the different agencies we use for those Class A systems and the different systems that people will want. I think if builders get used to those systems and get used to walking through, whether it be our website or different things, even online or videos and things, it makes the homeowners of today a lot more knowledgeable and a lot easier for them to find the information.
Yes, and I think, you know, I say this all the time, pretty much every time we're talking, it seems like, but really the contractors really need to work with their manufacturers. So working with you, working with the team there at Davinci, working with AC for those down in California, because you can the homeowners, we know the homeowners are going to do this research. We've seen it over and over again, that they're out there, they're researching, they're looking at the testing, they're asking the questions. So the more contractors can be prepared with information that maybe they didn't even know, or to really show the differences, I think that makes such a difference. And manufacturers can help, you guys can help your contractors with that, right?
No doubt.
Definitely.
And homeowners in general nowadays, we have it all the time where they'll reach out to our tech team or our sales team for that matter. And I think that helps, especially when the contractor has done their job well and has spoken through, you know, the Class A systems or whatever portion of our product they're trying to sell. And a homeowner calls us just to confirm what was said, and we match exactly what they're saying, and they get it right from the manufacturer. It's a win-win across the board.
Yeah, that's good. So AC, I know you do this every single day. So let's talk a little bit about the sales process and using fire testing is what we're talking about today, but really testing overall and third-party validations. How are you using that, and how are you helping your contractors use that in their sales process to homeowners?
Well, you know, I try to get the homeowner, the contractor, and even the distributor involved in the whole sales process. That's important for everybody to be on the same page, to know that the communication is being sent down all the way to the homeowner, that they know what products are being installed on their roof. And so, you know, the questions that we do ask every time that I get a call from a homeowner or contractor, I always mention, does it need to be a class fire rating? These are the underlayments or whatnot. And then also I mentioned to them WUI certification, the Wildland Urban Interface. And that's, sometimes that's even a conversation starter, because sometimes people will not even know what that is. And to make them aware of that makes it even more appealing for them to choose our product. We have a great team, an inside sales team that help us a ton, not only just answering questions, but going all the way from the beginning to the sales process to the very end until it's sold, and then even following up with them. And so, you know, to use fire rating, information is a huge benefit for us, because anybody in LA, anybody in Ventura County, in Southern California, Northern California, even parts of Arizona have started to adopt WUI certification. And when I was living in Washington, even parts of Oregon and in Eastern Washington, they were starting to adopt years ago the Wildland Urban Interface. And so that's just a proof to just how powerful, using a fire rating, I guess the information from fire rating in your sales process is, because it's true. You know, everybody's life is valuable. All their homes are valuable, and they want to know what's going to protect them best.
Yeah. And you when you and I were talking before, you said something I thought that was really interesting too, that I think is also an important part of the sales process. And that is, sometimes your county, your municipal, your whatever, metro area building codes may conflict or may not be the same as the WUI. Right? So how do contractors and homeowners also make sure that they've got the most correct, that's not quite the great way to say it, but the information that's going to keep them in following the building codes?
You know, our job is to provide them with as much information that not only that it can comprehend, but also that they need to make that decision. And a part of that is providing them information about fire rating and WUI certification, because sometimes, I'll come across a homeowner that's like, I have wood shake on my house. I've had it for the last, 30 to 60 years, and it still looks good. And it's grandfathered into the new system. So I don't actually, into the region that it's installed in, I don't need to actually have a composite roof installed or a concrete roof installed or anything like that. And, they kind of look at it as, they don't look at it as a safety protocol, but they look at it as a dollar amount. And what I try to do is just point them into the direction of understanding how fragile, building materials are, especially wood products. And it is not only just code, but if other states outside of California, where we are seeing the craziest wildfires, are adopting WUI certification and obviously like A-class fire classifications, then they should really, give themselves the time of day to just study and understand how to protect their home better.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think this is so important. So often we get caught up in just the look, and then the look is so important for curb appeal and for reselling your home. But if you have the look without the performance and without the safety, I think that, that's why we all came up with this when design meets safety, because you need both to really have the quality and the ROI for a new roof on your home.
Yeah, what's the point of having something that looks good if it doesn't perform?
Right, exactly. So I have to tell you, AC and Zach, this has been awesome. I love this stuff, and I appreciate you so much, because I just think this really helps. It brings a whole nother element to that sales discussion. But we do have some questions. So I would like to, at this point, move to some of these questions so that we can that kind of go back to some of the technical earlier. So one of the questions I had come up says, I noticed some manufacturers contend they are Class A fire rated as long as the underlayment is rated Class A. Is this true, or does the complete system need to be tested together, meaning each specific brand and product? Zach, you want to take that one?
Sure. So it's different products can be tested different ways, or different systems can be tested different ways. And a lot of times when a manufacturer will say that, there's usually a guideline for that. Like, so when you say a Class A product, a Class A underlayment, there's actually usually a code that goes beyond just a Class A or a Class A classification. And that specific code number or allotment would be what says, okay, for example, a certain type of synthetic you can use under those systems. And all that means is that when the product was tested, it was tested with the most minimal underlayment that would still fall within that classification of that Class A classification. And as long as you're using that or better, which is why they give that broad paragraph or broad description, you're fine. So there are sometimes you can do that you can get away with that, and it would be fine. It's just not very common that you'll see it that way.
Yeah. You have a lot. You walk the trade show. These contractors are all walking the trade shows, and they're saying, "Oh, we have a Class A product." That's why we started with that, because it takes the whole system really. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, and so you can have a Class A product, but you still want to make sure that it has been tested with those other things. So just because somebody says they have a Class A product, you want to make sure that in their installation guide or within the code or ICC testing or different things, that there is actually a system put together that gives their product with whatever that underlayment is, whether they actually have stated a Class A underlayment, being a broad spectrum, they still have to have it listed that way. You don't want to just use a single product that is Class A.
That leads, so how, and we kind of touched on this, but I think maybe you could name some of the agencies or even some of the places on the website to go. But how do contractors find third-party published info regarding testing and specific products?
So the easiest thing is to go to the ICC report. But if you go to any testing facility, we'll have them in most websites, most manufacturing websites. So for example, we'll have all that data on our website. But you can also go to for Miami-Dade, you can go to Miami-Dade, or even separate building codes like Florida building code sites and things.
Yeah, and I would recommend, because sometimes, I know having been in the same industry and working on some of these websites, sometimes the websites for manufacturers are really spot on. Sometimes they're a little muddy. And so I always recommend to go to the manufacturers, find the fire testing, and then find out where that fire testing is and go to that website and validate that it looks the same on the testing authority's website. So UL, Intertech, whoever it may be, like you said, ICC is the best. So this question is for AC. How do contractors get better educated about WUI, and also how WUI is works together with their county or their metro area?
One place to start is just going on the website. Going on the website, educating yourself on the terminology of what WUI is, and then also there's a list of all the different products on their website to show like Davinci products that are listed on there, and not only just roofing products, but siding and decking, all types of products that are on there. Just like this is a perfect way to learn more about it by listening to podcasts and informational types of audio like that. And then also participating in some of the local events. Obviously, that's not something that we could do now, but a lot of those conversations happen at some of these local events.
Yeah, and I, really taking that time to talk to your county officials, talk to your building code, become friends with the building code people, and ask them direct, how do you correspond with WUI, and how do we, really communicate how to keep our homeowners safe? So
yeah. And then I think I would also add to even read the sections and the resources in the manufacturers as well on their websites. You'll learn a lot. Yeah. I learn a lot from my competitors reading their information on their website. Some of the things that I learn about, A-class fire rating, WUI, and other things like that.
Yeah, because everybody we want on testing, we want everybody on the same page. We want everybody doing it the right way. So, and this question really came in, I think, for both of you, Zach or AC, but they said, I thought all products were tested. How are products sold that do not meet code in Class A fire rated areas? Zach, are you still there?
Sure. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. So you do not have to have a tested product to be sold. It's unfortunate, but you can it's not uncommon for roofing manufacturers, because certain classifications of products are not needed everywhere. There's a lot of places throughout the United States where a Class A is not required per local building code. So manufacturers can, of course, make any classification of product they want, and they will put those systems out. And as the sales kind of grow with those products, a lot of times the installers will move those products into areas where maybe a Class A or Class B is needed and they don't have it. And the installer will just keep selling it and installing it. And unfortunately, until an inspection is done, you end up having a lot of problems. There's a lot of counties where building inspections aren't done or aren't done well, and so those products can be sold. It's unfortunate, but it's something that you really have to stay on top of.
So really important for contractors and homeowners alike to be checking their materials.
Sure. And contractors, the better contractors, though, as we spoke earlier, those are the kinds of things you can talk about to kind of separate yourself. And if you know in your markets that there's guys out there selling products or selling systems one way that shouldn't be done, you don't ever want to negative sell, but it doesn't hurt to at least mention, hey, we have seen roofs in this area that are installed this way, just so you know this isn't really the best way to do it because of, X, Y, and Z. So it's always something to kind of point out and use to your advantage when you're selling.
Well, that is perfect. That is perfect. And thank you so much. We are actually at the end of our time. Those are our questions. So I wanted to thank both of you, AC and Zach, for being here today and really helping to educate the industry. I think this is so important. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for listening today. If you have further questions, please send them in to Roofers Coffee Shop. We will get them answered for you. All of our Read, Listen, Watch initiatives are recorded. So this webinar today has been recorded and it will be available as a video. It will be also be available on your favorite podcast channels to listen to by podcast, and we'll also have it as a transcript, so if you'd rather read it. And that is really one of the most important things, is that we deliver to you how you want to get the information. So I would really recommend everybody listening to go to the Davinci Roofscapes directory on Roofers Coffee Shop. We have a podcast that Zach and I did. There are great blogs, wonderful information, and full directory on all of their products. And I'd also encourage you all to go to our Read, Listen, Watch section of the website for all of our Read, Listen, Watch webinars, podcasts, and for ongoing podcast videos and ebooks. It is a great place to learn. We appreciate you being here, and we ask that you consider joining us again June 24th for our next Read, Listen, Watch with Fiber-Tight Leadership. It's going to be a great RLW, really looking into the market on low slope. So thank you so much for being here today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.